Moon is, right? What is this project? Why does it exist? And what we're going to do is play a quick clip here from one of our older episodes where we had actually talked about this when this first happened. Today in space, let's review the recent SpaceX announcement of the first person to purchase a BFR orbital trip around the moon. We'll overview some key aspects of the mission, including a project called dearMoon. Let's begin. On September 17th, it was announced via live webcast at the SpaceX headquarters that the secretive first passenger was Japanese billionaire Yusaku Maezawa. Maezawa purchased the first flight around the moon aboard the Big Falcon rocket. To quote Maezawa, "I thought long and hard about how valuable it would be to become the first private passenger to go to the moon. At the same time, I thought about how I can give back to the world and how this can contribute to world peace. This is my lifelong dream." But Maezawa doesn't want to be the only passenger. To quote him, "I did not want to have such a fantastic experience by myself. That would be a little lonely. I don't like being lonely, so I want to share these experiences and things with as many people as possible. So that is why I choose to go to the moon with artists." Does that sound familiar?
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
It was a nice homage to one of the historic moments of the start of the space race. Although billionaires going into space doesn't have quite the same feel as a country reaching for the future in the midst of an arms race to the moon, I love that Maezawa chose to honor this new commercial human endeavor with that line. In this very inspirational reveal of Project dearMoon, Yusaku is inviting 6 to 8 artists that will join him aboard the 15-day mission around the moon to experience what only hundreds of other human beings have ever experienced. What could these artists share with the world that could inspire and excite people about space travel? Maezawa has decided to invest his wealth to share this experience with others. A gesture I believe is important culturally for the future of space travel. It's my opinion that we're pretty lucky to have people like Elon Musk and Yusaku Maezawa in this day and age to have these alternate paths to success for human spaceflight to continue. Now, if this sounds like a previous mission SpaceX had planned, you would be correct. In the webcast, Elon revealed that the 2-passenger Dragon capsule moon mission that would have launched aboard a Falcon Heavy rocket was originally purchased by Maezawa. It's interesting to see that the mission evolved from using the BFR, and for everyone involved, it makes much more of an impact. Obviously, the safety of such a mission is brought into question. The BFR has not taken its final form yet. There will be plenty of developmental launches before humans launch. And the message was clear from both Elon and Maezawa that the mission is dangerous and not something to be taken lightly. SpaceX is aware that human loss on this mission could happen, and they must do everything they can to ensure human safety. But safety on human missions is not a new topic, and not one I find any evidence of SpaceX taking it lightly. I think it's more important to look at what SpaceX has been able to accomplish in its short time in the space industry. There are many incredible technologies to be tested in time for the mission in 2023 or later if things are delayed. The dearMoon project has the feel of sci-fi dreams and makes me think about what's possible for the future. It's important for us to keep our expectations real and to make sure we stay realistic on what's possible, because space travel is difficult, especially human space travel. All right, so in that clip, we talked about a joint venture between Yusaku Maezawa and Elon Musk and SpaceX. He wanted to create this project to get artists together to go on a trip around the moon to experience the moon so that they could then take that experience and take their creativity to the world and influence the world through their lunar travel. This is the new space world that we live in, that an individual can pay for an entire mission and bring people with them. We've seen smaller versions of this with, the Blue Origin, people paying, in some cases winning, trips on the New Shepard rocket to the edge of space and back. But this kind of a mission, a moon mission, a human moon mission, this was years before the Orion spacecraft and SLS, and everything was ready to launch for Artemis. This is years before, so it seemed like a long shot. And look, I mean, it's not like SpaceX hasn't promised crazy things and then end up maybe a little bit longer in their timeline than they expected, but they delivered. So originally this mission was supposed to be on a Crew Dragon spacecraft. Now, we just saw the iSpace mission. We just saw that SpaceX just launched a lunar lander to the moon, iSpace, the Japanese private company. But we haven't really seen that type of thing from a Falcon 9. Eventually, the Starship became the vehicle that was going to take these human beings around the moon. Now, years went past. Development of the Starship continues today. The Raptor engine got a new update where it's thinner and sleeker and has more thrust, and they've just done so much to this spacecraft. They've launched it, they've landed it, they've crashed it, and now they're getting ready to do the first orbital test. So needless to say, dearMoon, the announcement is amazing. The fact that Crew is being announced, I would guess that's some kind of a hint of the trigger inside of SpaceX to say, all right, let's get to the point where we can launch this, but let's not sugarcoat anything. It's not like development of Starship has gone off easily. There was a lot of progress up front really, really quick. We were on Starship 24 recently. So, like, there's been a lot of progress, but they're really dialing things in. We're seeing some static tests, multiple static tests with the same Starship, and there have been engine swap outs, but they're getting a lot of data. They definitely seem to be getting close. So this dearMoon mission would take these people around the moon in a Starship and have a glorious view. I mean, I remember when this was first decided to be on the Starship, that was around the time when Elon Musk was discussing the view from the high bay here, where this giant glass structure that would be there for viewing, there could be, you know, these amazing musical shows, like a violinist in a orbital ballet doing just an insanely beautiful performance of art in front of the backdrop of the Earth or the moon or just the background of the universe. So, a very inspirational mission, and we have our crew. So let's jump into the crew. So the first person, obviously a huge congratulations to Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut. It's amazing to see his progress over the years and to see that he's now going to become an astronaut and go to the moon. It's truly, truly amazing. Steve Aoki is part of that crew, which is wild to think about. I think he's a really interesting person. I've heard a lot of interviews with him. I've always enjoyed, I've seen at least one of his live shows, and I've of course listened to his music. Very enjoyable person and artist. Then you have Top, who was born in South Korea in 1987. He's a South Korean rapper, multi-hyphenate musician, an award-winning film actor, and avid collector. He is obviously a part of the legendary K-pop group Big Bang. Although I say obviously, like, I'm a big fan. I'm not. He's just definitely big. Not my thing, but big. Then we have Yemi A.D., who is from the Czech Republic. He's a multidisciplinary creative. Each one of these artists have their own kind of label. Tim Dodd is the YouTuber that's there. Top is one of the musicians. Yemi A.D. is the multidisciplinary creative. He's doing this to remind all the creative kids out there, it doesn't matter how you start your journey, but where you aim, and we will prove that with imagination. There is no limit to your potential. He was born in Czechoslovakia to a Czech mom and a Nigerian father in 1981. He's a multidisciplinary creative force, social innovator, and choreographer who teaches people and organizations how to move into their creativity. He designed, choreographed, and directed shows and campaigns for Apple, Google, Mercedes-Benz, the VMAs, SNL, and CBS. Next up, we have Rhiannon Adam from Ireland. She is the photographic artist. She says, "Every day I pinch myself, it seems like an impossible dream coming true. I aim to create work that does justice to this transformative experience." Rhiannon was born in Svork, Ireland in 1985. Rhiannon is a photographic artist and currently lives and works between London and the US. In 1992, her parents sold everything they owned and bought a liveaboard sailing boat. From that point, her childhood became nomadic, moving from place to place, moving around South America and the Caribbean. She eventually moved to London as a teenager to live with her aunt, enabling her to begin mainstream education. And Rhiannon's work is centered on research-based, long-form social documentary projects that make use of analog photographic processes and archive materials. Her early life experiences have had a lasting influence on her work, with a focus on remote communities, the concept of utopia, and the fine line between fact and fiction. Next up is Karim Ilya from the UK. He's a photographer. He says here, as I document this incredible journey and share this story, I hope to grow and understand how to do my part to make things better for all life on Earth. Karim Ilya was born in the UK in 1990. Karim is a photographer, filmmaker, whale swimming guide based in Iceland and Hawaii. He grew up in the Middle East and Asia and developed a curiosity for the natural world. This has brought him alongside battling whales amidst exploding volcanoes, deep within the ice worlds of the Arctic, and into many of the fascinating places that humans and animals make their home. Karim uses photography and video to show a unique perspective and uncover new underwater worlds that few have the opportunity to see. And his focus is on documenting whales, birds, and other threatened species in an effort to advocate for the protection of delicate ecosystems on Earth for generations to come. Brendan Hall is one of the Americans. He's a filmmaker. It's an incredible honor to be a part of this team and help share an inside perspective of our mission. He was born in Connecticut in the U.S. in 1994. Brendan is a documentary filmmaker telling stories in the natural world and beyond. His projects have brought viewers on adventures that explore the frontiers of our human spirit, from following a remote medical expedition through the Amazon rainforest, scientists unearthing woolly mammoth bones in Siberia. He's contributed to cinematography, to documentaries on Netflix and PBS, including Bill Nye the Science Guy and Red Heaven. In his work, Brendan is committed to sharing the wonders of our planet in hopes that we may be inspired to care for it. Is the spirit he brings to his upcoming first feature-length documentary, a tapestry of personal stories captured across 10,000 miles of the U.S. national parks. And then we have Dev D. Joshi from India. He's an actor. He says, always be positive and be passionate because miracles happen, and they happen anytime, which came in the form of dearMoon for me. Now, he was born in India in the year 2000. Dev is a professional actor and social media influencer with an experience of more than 18 years in the field of art and entertainment. From the young age of 3, he's been a part of several television series, regional cinema, music, albums, stage shows, and advertisements. Known for his portrayal of an Indian superhero, Balveer, Dev has positively influenced the masses across the world through his character, spreading the message of truth and goodness in society. And then there are 2 backup crew members. There's Caitlin Farrington, a snowboarder from the U.S. She can't believe that she's part of this amazing opportunity. Never in a million years did she think that she would have the chance to fly around the moon. She was born in Haley, Idaho in 1989. Caitlin grew up on a ranch in Idaho. At a young age, she fell in love with winter sports. In high school, she started to compete in snowboard competitions around the United States, and when she was 17, she was invited to join the U.S. snowboard team. She won an Olympic gold at the age of 24 in snowboard halfpipe in 2014 at the Sochi Olympic Games. 8 months after her victory, she was diagnosed with congenital cervical stenosis and had to retire from competitive snowboard. Caitlin has made a deal with her doctor to become a grounded snowboarder. For Caitlin, this was a hard reality, having to give up something she loved too much and redefine herself in the snowboard community. She now spends most of her time backcountry snowboarding, which she likes to call adventure snowboarding. And she is currently taking online classes pursuing a degree in business communication. And then there is Mayu from Japan. She's a dancer. She's so excited to grasp this enormous dream of hers. On behalf of the young generation, I'll do my best to inspire people through my dance. She was born in Japan in 1997. She's a professional dancer, choreographer, and movement practitioner. She started dancing as a child and saw success early on, winning consecutive titles, competitions, and battles. When she was 19 years old, she won title through Japan and Asia, including Juste de Beau in Paris. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize. Mayu has spent most of the past decade educating, inspiring, and connecting people through dance and movement all over the world. Alongside her community efforts, Mayu is recognized as an entrepreneur who works as a model, brand ambassador, choreographer, dancer, and performer in music videos. She's performed globally, but most proud of her show at the Cotton Club in Tokyo, Japan, which was sold out for several nights and was one of her best performances. Her motto is "Make the impossible possible," and she proves time and time again that as an artist, anything is possible when kindness, grace, and humility are your driving force. So, that is the dearMoon crew as of right now and the backup crew. It's an exciting time because all of these people are chosen, which makes this mission a little bit more real. It's real in the fact that Yusaku Maezawa flew to the International Space Station in 2021. He was the first Japanese civilian to visit the ISS and spent 12 days on board. He was there trying to learn as a commander. He's going to be commanding this mission. He's going to lead this mission. So he needs time in space. He needs to understand what it's like so that he can help guide these folks, not only through the training, but to be a leader through this mission. I think that's a subtle thing about human spaceflight that we don't really consider until it's happening, that leadership and a sense of team and cohesiveness super important for going through space. You're going through a very high-risk scenario. Human beings, we're not really supposed to be in space. We have spacecraft and we've got engineering and science and technology to help us manipulate reality around us so we can do that. But it's like having a grand adventure where there is lots of danger that can happen. And so you need to have a good team, you need to be all together, you need good leaders, and you need to prepare for as much as you can. So I like the fact that Yusaku Maezawa, who likes to be called MZ, it was good to see that he seems to be taking this seriously. Obviously, launching into space, not the safest thing to do. So it's not just some crazy mission like Mars 1, which we talked about in the very early days of the podcast. And I saw a lot of comparisons to this dearMoon project announcement, comparing it to Mars 1.